The center's staff does not ignore the social environment that affects a child's behavior and ability to learn.
So I'll get a good history from the parent, and I'll also observe a little bit about how the parents interact with each other as well as how they interact with the child, because that can give me additional information. And then I will usually meet with the child, say 20 to 30 minutes by themselves. And what I do with the child is I'll ask them imagination questions, and I will show them pictures and have them tell me stories to pictures.
Psychotherapy in conjunction with the treatment that is offered at the Attention and Achievement Center is a very, very powerful combination, because they're being addressed on a biological level at the Attention and Achievement Center, causing changes in their brainwave function, which makes it easier for them to begin to experience success, and combined with what I offer, which helps them then learn how to structure themselves differently, we've seen some very amazing results.
There are few instant fixes for the disorders seen at the center. However, the center's practitioners are confident that their non-drug interventions will provide lasting results. At a recent conference on neurology at Harvard, the consensus was that for 90% of sufferers, the symptoms of ADD will persist through life. Treating ADD with stimulant drugs does not provide any long-lasting benefit, and the daily, monthly, and yearly costs will add up over a lifetime. The drug-free therapies at the Attention and Achievement Center free the ADD patient.
Our treatments are not inexpensive, but you need to weigh that against the benefits and the risk of having a child that might need medication for life. There are significant side effects to the medication, and they will not treat it. So the cost has to be weighed against the expense of no treatment. And in that instance, we are very, very inexpensive. We continuously measure the effectiveness of the treatment that's being delivered. Every 15 hours or so, we rerun a battery of tests to show both to ourselves and the parents the changes that have occurred since they began their program.
The doctor told us that after about 7 to 10 visits, we would start seeing personality changes in Tony. And he was right on with that.
I noticed around April, he started in October of last year, in April he started to read books, real books, by himself in school, novels, 5th grade novels, and he had never ever read before. So to me that was such a miracle, such a gift that he could read.
We offer continuous annual assessments at no additional charge in order to be able to track the progress of our clients. And we do not see a return of the deficits that they came in, so rarely there is a need for additional treatment after they have completed their program.
I think 100% it was the center coming here and all the different therapies that they've offered. I can't explain it all the time, but somehow they pinpointed where he needed help. They tied it all together, and it's working.
Because, you know, just the gift of reading is amazing, but then the gift of happiness and the gift of self-confidence and the gift of independence. When I saw the first question, why did you come here, I wrote to save his life. Yeah.
We just had Christmas, and my husband asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I said I already got it, because my son seems to have changed just in a short period of time. Just the fact that he's been looking at me, talking with me, having conversations with me, telling me about his day in kindergarten, that's all I could really ever ask for. So, yeah, we call it a miracle. We really do.
Millions of American children have attention deficit disorder. Now, a Bay Area doctor is offering kids who suffer from it a new drug-free treatment option. NBC 11's Health Watch reporter Marianne Fabro shows us how it works. Marianne.
Well, TJ, for years, parents of kids with ADD have searched for ways to treat them without relying on drugs. And now a Bay Area psychologist says he has a new treatment that can cure ADD in just 20 hours.
An estimated 1 out of every 20 kids on the playground has attention deficit disorder, known as ADD. And 6-year-old Evan Miller shows some signs of the problem. His mom says he averaged 5 tantrums a day.
We went through some times where he would randomly get wild, as a lot of boys do, but it was over the top. It was tantrums, it was frustration.
Miller didn't want her son to take medication which can produce side effects such as insomnia and stomach problems. So instead, she came here to psychologist Dr. Mark Steinberg in Los Gatos to see if biofeedback might work.
That's great, Evan.
The goal is for Evan to control this spaceship and destroy the diamond by learning to focus.
That element of the EEG is to calm him down because that's what he most needs. He gets overexcited.
The other spaceships move ahead if Evan becomes too fidgety or loses focus. Dr. Steinberg says the program has helped get rid of ADD symptoms in 80% of his patients.
We use the brain waves as the stimulus for directing the person as to what is the proper way to act.
He calls it the 20-hour solution and even co-authored a book about it. But you should know the treatments are done a half hour at a time over 40 weeks. After just 2 visits, Lori has already seen a difference in her son. He's still exuberant Evan, but the tantrums only come once or twice a week.
We went out to dinner a few nights later, and it was the most pleasant dinner we had had in years because he was calm and he was pleasant and he talked with us and he carried on a conversation.
There are, however, still some ADD support groups that don't recommend this form of treatment alone, preferring to suggest children take medication to manage ADD. I'm Marianne Favreau, and that's tonight's Health Watch.
EEG biofeedback or neurofeedback are terms used to describe the use of computer technology to measure your brain waves and then reward you when you reach frequencies that are considered healthy. While our story is about how it is used to treat children with ADD or ADHD, that's not its only application. It also has been used to treat migraines, sleep disorders, seizures, and depression. And it's not just used to treat ailments. It's also been used by professional athletes and business executives to improve concentration and performance. Jordan began his treatment approximately 4 months ago. EEG Spectrum is a company that practices EEG biofeedback therapy, and it's located in Encino, California. They are the developer of the video game and monitoring software for the EEG biofeedback treatment you're about to see. Susan Othmer is the chief clinician for EEG Spectrum and one of its founders. In a typical session with Jordan, for example, he comes into the training room and is wired with 3 electrodes, 1 on his scalp and 1 on each earlobe. These are used only to measure brainwave activity. He then begins to play the specially designed video game. The therapist, in this case Susan Othmer, is in the room with Jordan to monitor the session, and she begins our explanation of how it works.
What we're looking at here is Jordan's brainwaves on the top trace, and the computer divides this signal into 3 parts. So we have a low frequency component, an intermediate frequency, and a high frequency that are all pieces of this signal. And the idea here is that the frequency of the brainwaves correlates with the activation state of the brain. So these low frequency brainwaves correlate with being very drowsy or spacey. The high frequency brainwaves correlate with either being tense or being physically tense. And this intermediate frequency correlates with being calm and alert and focused. So the task is to make more of the alert brain waves and less of the low frequency and high frequency.
When Jordan is successful at that, the blue rocket chip in the middle, illustrating the mid-frequency brainwave, moves faster, and he is rewarded. He scores points which are indicated on the top left center of the screen. The faster he moves that rocket chip, the more he is rewarded. When he starts to lose his concentration and begins to drift off, the rocket ship on the left, the low-frequency brainwave, begins to overtake the blue rocket ship, and his reward, the points, are withheld. If he starts getting too tense, the rocket ship on the right, the high-frequency brainwave, begins to overtake the one in the middle, and again, the reward of points is withheld. The meters you see on the top of the screen are indicating the amplitude of each component of the brainwave and correspond to the amplitude on the therapist monitor.
So he's just sitting there and concentrating on the feedback. It's really a mirror to him of his brain state. Because if I say, Jordan, I want you to practice concentrating, he may not know how to do that. But if I show him his brainwaves and say, that's concentration, that's not concentration, then he has the immediate information about his own brain state and he can learn to change it.
According to Susan Othmer, for some people the therapy is a replacement for medication. But EEG biofeedback is not intended to be in opposition to medication.
So I see kids frequently who come on medication, and then we can work with them, and then gradually the medication can be withdrawn. I don't want people to see it as some sort of voodoo science, and I don't want them to see it as a heavy-duty neurological intervention. Just being calm and alert is what's it's about. And when you say to somebody, if you have a friend who's upset, and you say, why don't you just calm down? You know, that's easy to say, but it can be very hard for some people to do. What the neurofeedback does is it shows that person where just calm down is. Once he knows where that is, he's going to use it just like everybody else does.
Most children are active, but not this active. The Schneppel kids are like bundles of energy in constant motion. They have a brain dysfunction known as attention deficit disorder, or ADD. People with ADD have short attention spans. They can't focus on anything for long. They have trouble completing tasks. Typically, they have trouble in school, and they can't hold jobs. ADD is sometimes accompanied by hyperactivity, as in the case of the Schneppel children. Kathy Schneppel is their mom. She also has ADD.
It's an exciting household. It's interesting. It's loud.
Imagine what the household would be like if Kathy and the kids weren't on medication. Although the medication allows them to function, it has side effects: dry mouth, constipation, rapid heartbeat, and insomnia, just to mention a few. But a new treatment for ADD is promising a drug-free or drug-reduced existence. It's called electroencephalogram biofeedback, and it teaches patients to control their own brain waves. Many, though not all people with ADD, have abnormal brainwave patterns. Eric Henderson is typical. By attaching a computer to his head and ears with electrodes, clinicians can monitor his brain waves. These are his theta waves, the ones associated with random daydreaming. Eric has too many of them. His doctors believe that's why he wasn't doing well in school, and he was getting more and more frustrated.
When I had outbursts in class, my teacher would give us a demerit, and then I'd feel like I should have just done a better job or just been quiet.
These are Eric's beta brain waves. They control concentration. He doesn't have enough of them.
This type of brainwave pattern would be associated with more mind-wandering and daydreaming and less focusing on a targeted task, such as solving a math problem.
Psychologist Julian Isaac says that without proper treatment, many people with ADD get into trouble with the law. But he says biofeedback can prevent that.
They're able to escape from this fate which a lot of the ADD people previously have suffered, where they fail school, they're not able to achieve academically, they don't have a reasonable income, and a lot of ADD people, if you look at the statistics, are prone to addiction, depression, and even crime.
For parents whose children have had biofeedback treatment, there is no doubt that it works.